emission laws in the 60s, which I wish were happening again today, that I know you share a deep concern about.
Absolutely.
Which has really changed the religious fabric of our nation. That today the United States is one of the most religiously diverse nation in the world. And it's not just a Main Street phenomenon that we see in New York or Chicago or Washington, D.C. for that matter. We see it in places like Salt Lake City and Toledo and Jackson, Mississippi, and Tampa, Florida. My question is, religious pluralism is a social reality.
Yes, exactly.
How do we, as people who live in this country, and especially as Unitarian Universalists, make it a spiritual reality?
With that, of course, it's a very, very thoughtful question. There's no easy answer to that. What I tried to say yesterday was, I think the Unitarian Universalists have a better chance to do it than perhaps almost any other denomination, in part because already, by the way you understand church and what it means, and faith and what it means, I sit here and listen to the hymns and see how careful they are in terms of what they claim, what they don't claim, who might feel a little like they should walk out because it didn't quite make them comfortable. Being comfortable is not the main reason for being a person of faith, I must add. But on the other hand, I said yesterday, and I believe it, that the Unitarian Universalists have a call to be the leadership in an interfaith world, because you are not burdened with the fact that only one faith matters. And I think for too many Christian churches that are, what one would define more technically as Christian churches, they really are burdened with the Trinity, with some of the belief structures that in fact keep them and make them the very idea that we were taught as young people that we should be missionaries and we should go to the whole world and make them Christian. It is almost unbelievable that 100 years ago, the Christian Century, one of the great magazines now of liberal Christianity, was born. But it was born under the challenge that in so many years this would be a Christian world. There is no way, no, that's not true. There are people that today would still hope that is true, I must say that. And probably more than we wish. But certainly publicly, I can't imagine a politician calling for that. Well, there's a couple. By and large, we're as a nation wrestling. We still are the only country for whom we protect ourselves. And to me, it is when I was in the National Council of Churches and the World Council, every time I came home from another country, I would say a quiet prayer, thank you, God, that we are who we are and that we will never have one religion be the religion of our nation. And if we don't understand how valuable that is, I think we'll lose our way. We really have to understand that to be a nation that says we will never be any one religion more than any other. Do we act like we're one more than the other? Yes, absolutely. But the fact is, there's no laws that say that. And so we have the possibility for interfaith action and interaction among people of different faiths more than any other nation. So it's for us a charge. And I think to the Unitarians, it's a special gift because you come already a few steps ahead. If you listen to the hymns, if you listen to the wording that you use, there's room for many people within that wording. And we're not nearly aware enough of that in many of the churches. And the fundamentalist churches in many ways have become the churches of note. And I do have to take my 2 cents to say I fuss with the media about this because they're not really very interested in interviewing somebody in this congregation. And what do you believe and why do you believe it? It's much more interesting to interview somebody who has a more radical and more fundamentalist view. And so I think we are over-emphasizing politicized on our fundamentalist side, as are the Muslims. Unless people know Islam and they know the Ismailis and the parts of Islam that are peace-loving people, and their level of distress is infinitely greater than anything we could have as to what's happening to their own religion. And it has to have been, as Karen Armstrong would remind us, we as Christians have to remember the Crusades. And we have to remember the Ku Klux Klan and what we as Christians had to fight against. So when we get too hard on the Muslims, we have to remember we had our time too, when we did not fight as hard